Welcome to A Women's Brew, where women talk about beer. Unfortunately, Jo is still out ill, so I'm joined by my built-in beer buddy to talk tour in Brussels and the Toer De Geuze. I'm Tori, this is Rik.
Hi.
And this podcast is still two beer lovers on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. So as people will have figured out by this point, they don't have to be watching the video, they just have to listen to the intro to know. It's not even backed by popular demand necessarily.
Oof.
It's
Wow.
we'll go
start with a burn.
We'll go backed by popular demand, but I don't actually. Jo's ill.
Yeah,
she's been really ill.
So it was no choice.
You got holiday by popular demand, and re-podcast by popular demand. As people know, Jo's not here. If you followed, we missed our first episode for the first time in 3 years, 4 years. I don't even know how long we've been doing it. We've missed our first episode because we physically couldn't record because she was really, really, really not well. So hopefully you're feeling better, Jo, by the time you're editing this, because I know you're editing this tomorrow. So hope you're feeling much, much better. But it felt like the best person to come on and talk about Brussels with me
was someone who actually went. Yeah, that makes sense.
The person that went to Brussels. It's not exactly fair to be like, Jo, come talk to me about Brussels.
Yeah.
Gonna open a beer. We're gonna have a beer for this. We can't really talk about Brussels and Belgian beer and the Toer De Geuze and all of the exciting things we did without having a Belgian beer. So we are going to have a beer from Cantillon, because now it means I can use a 750ml bottle that I've had for quite a while, so it's aged quite a while. This one is just literally the Geuze 100% Lambic Bio. We probably had this. Oh, spoiler alert! We'll talk about it more.
I was about to say, did we have that one?
We'll talk about it more when we get to it. This could be a two-parter. This could be a one-parter. I don't know. We'll see where we get to. We'll see where the 750ml bottle takes us. But I thought I'd pick this one as well, because not only did I have it in the cupboard, but I know that you particularly enjoyed Cantillon. So
I did
as well, but we will talk about that more. Let's open this. I'm going to probably need your help, because this one's got the bottle. This one's got the cork in it, and you know I'm really always terrible at taking the cork out. I'm never good at it. I don't.
Tighty righty. Not that makes a difference. But yeah. Just push
I actually might be doing it.
Yeah.
I'm a strong, independent woman.
As the man starts lifting his arms, that means that he's lifting his arms in celebration. No, keep pushing.
I know. I'm just saying, it could be a lady. You don't know.
Yeah.
Could be non-binary.
Sorry. The
doodad. As the doodad's arms go up, and it goes, hey.
They then.
They go.
Cool. Yeah.
Right.
Celebration arms.
So we have it. We got celebration arms. I did it. I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. I got this. Ah.
Congrats.
Oh, look at that. And there's only minimal cork flying everywhere. So that's good. As we learn. I'm not going to really talk about the style. We're not talking about the style today. Even though we're talking about the Toer De Geuze and our Brussels trip. We're not going to talk about the style, because I'm going to save that one for Jo. I'm going to let Jo educate. Maybe you could join us for the education
she probably
station.
knows more about it. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to teach about?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll let Jo do that. I know she enjoys that.
I'm going to christen my lovely Cantillon glass.
Cantillon glass. That is a good looking glass.
Actually, I'll pour you first. Let me pour you first.
Oh,
I've let you. So Jo gave me one of her Lindemann's glasses, and I didn't buy any other Cantillon ones, and all the other ones we took home with us are in the dishwasher. Sorry, so I am running them through the dishwasher first, because I just want to make sure it gets all the grossness out of it. I didn't bring back a lambic basket like I wanted to, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna do my best to pour this. But we'll get there in the end. We'll get there in the end. Oh, there we go. Lovely. All right.
It's good
cheers.
Looking.
It's good looking. So we're going to try not to make Jo feel too bad. So apologies in advance, Jo, because you're the one that's editing this. But
that smells really good.
It does. I really, like I said, we're going to hold off talking about Cantillon itself. But how much did you know about like Geuze's Lambic beers in general? Like, how much did you know about the style and like Geuzeries and all Belgian beer culture?
Before I went, what I knew about Lambics was that Lambic was a type of beer and it was very special. I didn't know why or how.
Okay.
What made it special. I just know that we'd had Lambics before. You'd given me a Lambic and be like, this is a Lambic. And I'm like, cool, it's nice. Didn't know what that meant. Didn't understand the, not the repercussions, but I guess the different way it's brewed. Never even heard of a Geuze before. So that was all new to me.
This is so good.
What else was part of your question? I've forgotten the question.
Well, just like overall, how much did you know before?
Oh, about Brussels beers.
Just Belgian beers.
Belgian beers in general.
Like, how much do you know about sort of like Belgian beer culture, Belgian breweries, like overall before we went?
Before I went, I knew that obviously Belgium was very well known for their beers. I think everyone knows Belgium kind of beers is a thing, isn't it?
Sure is.
So yeah, but that's it pretty much. Yeah.
So you have an awareness. I was going to say I would agree that I think you had a general awareness about like Lambics and
it was
those
just
things.
Awareness, but not knowledge.
But no. So hopefully when we come to the end of this, you'll be able to share all the great things that you learned about while we were there. But I guess story time.
Okay.
We should probably explain what happened with Jo, how you ended up going. So obviously, as I mentioned, she was ill, and the stress level. I talk about this strictly from our perspective because I feel so bad. Her stress level must have been awful. The stress level
for us,
that turnaround. Oh my goodness! So, like in the run up to actually getting to Brussels, we basically hadn't done a whole lot of research because Jo and I were meant to record, and we were meant to kind of like after we finished recording, we were going to have a chat. We'd do a bit more research. But Jo had messaged me that she had gone home not feeling great a bit early from an event she was working at, and and she was like, I'm gonna rest up, it'll be fine, I've got a week, this is gonna be fine. And I was like, yeah, fine, not a problem. So I kind of held off doing a lot. We had planned this back in February, so I think it was something that we were like, we'll research closer to the time. And then we just kept getting busy. And I was like, you know what, no matter what, we've got the recording that's due to happen before we go. So we'll just double check on everything. And that's all good. I think Jo was looking at the transport. I was looking at sort of food, drinks, that kind of stuff, basically in our wheelhouses. So yeah, it ended up being that we were like, I don't think I can record on the Monday. I was like, that's fine. So we decided we weren't going to record on the Monday because that was, if anything, she needed to rest up. She needed to get better.
Yeah.
Be Tuesday. So we didn't actually get to talk. We didn't get to plan stuff. And then I kind of held off because I thought if she's not well by the end of the week, we might not be going full stop. So there's no point in doing all this research if we're not even going. Basically, the week was passing and I was checking in going, how are you feeling? Got to be Thursday morning and I got the message which was, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go. I'm still not feeling well. I don't think it's smart to travel, which was the absolute right call for her to make.
Bear in mind that you were leaving on the Friday.
I was leaving on the Friday. This is bank holiday. We were leaving Friday night. So this is the day before, and it was the absolute right thing for her to do. She left it as long as she could, but then she had to call it because we had to. We basically did cancelable hotel rooms. We paid for the upgrade at the time. Apparently, you can change it now, anyways, on Eurostar. But when we booked, it was like we did the standard premium because we wanted to be able to reschedule with some flexibility if we needed to, just in case dates changed. I'm glad we did that at the time because it meant that she still has a ticket, so she can still go to Brussels later. So I think she's going to go later in the year. I basically was like, I got up for work, got that message. There was fires burning at work, and I basically did I went into project manager mode, I think, as one project manager to another project manager. went into like project management crisis mode, I think. And I was like, okay, what are my options? I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah, you weighed up your options, didn't you?
I came in, I was like, I think I've got 4 options.
Yeah.
It's a cancel or reschedule and cancel, full stop. The problem is, I think with the Eurostar, you can only change
Rebook it
once. So I was like, if I do that and we rebook, we're really committed
You're
to the date that we
to a certain
book,
date, yeah.
and that might be a bit difficult.
Yeah. Option 2.
Option 2 was we have the dog, and you were going to take the dog away on you were going to do like a daddy-daughter trip.
Daddy-daughter trip.
Daddy-daughter trip with the doggo. And you're going to go to Cardiff, and then you're going to pop in and some other bits and pieces. So, but you hadn't actually scheduled anything from like
that was an option
the hotel.
2. We're getting sidetracked.
No. Yeah. Option 2 was we find coverage for the dog.
Yeah.
And we go.
Yeah.
Option 3 was I solo travel it. And option 4 was let's see if someone else can go. Let's see if there's anyone else that spur of the moment might be able to go. I think the problem with that one, so the problem with the first one was very much, I'd have to lock into another date. The problem with the second option was I didn't think we'd be able to find anyone to watch the dog with 24 hours notice, because I knew that one of your siblings was away, and so I didn't think to ask them, and the other one lives quite far away, and our dog sitter was fully booked. So I was like, this could be a challenge. The problem with solo traveling, I had a little bit of concerns around like some safety aspects and stuff, which we can talk about a bit later when we talk about some of the other bits that we did. And then the problem with the last one was, because Joe and I had been planning this since February, we, I think, very much had split out our payments for things. Like we had paid off the Eurostar in one go. We had paid off the hotel in one go. So it wasn't a big lump sum all in. Asking somebody else within 24 hours to be like, can you pay for a Eurostar ticket and a hotel and a ticket to the Toer De Geuze if there's still any available, and like, is the bus still available? There might not have even been tickets for the bus, so it was a lot to ask somebody to do with a 24-hour notice. And I think you did try that. I tried to put it out there.
So I guess maybe you should have ranked the
you
should have listed the options in the order your preference. Your preference was to find someone else first.
That was not
I mean,
that was not my preference. That was your
first option.
No,
wasn't it?
My first option actually was for you to come with me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You.
But my thought around it was the lack of reality to be able to do that because of the dog cover and because of the fact that I knew that you were already planning to take her away. So I was like, well, you already have all this stuff planned out that you're looking to do.
Yeah, but that wasn't my first choice, so was it?
Well, I thought you'd probably like coming to Belgium because you like chocolate. Exactly. So I thought you'll like chocolates.
Yeah, so
but I thought that was going to be the challenge. So it's not that I just went, oh, that's not my first option. It was the fact that I went, I'm not going to count my chickens. I'm going to go, I have to act quickly. So I'm going to look at all the options at once. So I put it out there, would anybody be interested in going in my girls group?
And no one did.
To be fair, it's just that it was very expensive. There were people that were like, I would do it. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money and it's short notice. Yeah, so basically the option was...
I know, one person in particular was like, let me see if I can get authorization to do that.
So basically you offered it to me.
Not quite.
Okay. All right, you offered it to me. I said,
would you be interested? Yeah.
I said, yes, I'd be interested. Let's try and sort out the dog. So as you said, so the dog options were, first step...
If it helps though, if I may... I asked you if you wanted to go at the same time as I was putting feelers out with other people.
Okay. So in parallel.
Parallel.
Okay. But so it came down to the dog situation. What could we do with the dog? So actually, I think whilst you were, because you were on calls, you were busy with work, so I think I actually looked into, could we take the dog with us?
I knew that the hotel that Joe and I had booked was dog friendly, so I knew that was an option. But I was like, I don't know how that would work. So
I think the first thing I checked was the requirements for getting into Belgium these days with a dog. Obviously, it's changed since Brexit. Thanks, Brexit. And it's not that easy. You can't do it at short notice. That was dead in the water. Yeah. And also, I'm pretty sure the Eurostar doesn't allow dogs, so we'd have to book Eurotunnel, and a bit of a hassle. But it was dead in the water. Couldn't take the dog short notice. Yeah. Okay, so we had to find someone for the dog. So I think, as you said, so our normal option, one of my siblings was away that weekend, so we thought, okay, well they're not going to be able to do it. So the second option was our dog sitter, who you reached out to, and
in parallel at the same time as everyone else.
And unfortunately, she was fully booked up because it was a bank holiday weekend and it was short notice.
I was like, how dare you be fully booked on a bank holiday weekend? Why didn't she drop everything for this doofus?
Yeah, one of my other siblings, my sister, who had just recently got back from holiday and was ill, so I didn't think it was fair to ask her.
Plus, the last time Phelan did try to eat all of her cat's cat food, and
didn't try to eat, successfully ate all of her cat. I mean, that wouldn't stop me from dumping Phelan on her again.
Yeah, but that would stop her.
Lessons learned.
But that would stop her from saying
that. May stop her. It wouldn't stop me. But no, she was ill, so I was like, no, I'm not going to ask her. So it was my other sibling who lives 3 hours away. So I reached out to him. He said, yeah, that's fine. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, that's fine. I said, but are you really sure? Because it's quite short notice. And also because of the timing, we wouldn't have time on Friday to drop her off. So it'd have to be Thursday. So that's one extra day. And it'd have to be late at night after we finish work. And he said, yeah, no, that's totally fine. So called him, made sure that was okay. And then, we basically finished work on the Thursday, didn't we? And drove up to Shropshire.
Sure
did a nice little 6-hour round trip. Yep. With a 10-minute stop just to say hi and drop Phelan off and kind of, explain the situation. And then, so we dropped Phelan off. We got back pretty late that night. It's probably silly o'clock in the morning, really, wasn't it, by the time we got home?
It was silly.
So, and then we got up.
Friday. Didn't get to pack at that point.
Didn't get to pack yet, obviously,
I was meant to be packed by last minute.
And then obviously we were off on the Friday, so I had to find a ticket. Luckily, there was a ticket on the same train.
Yeah, I think that was the first hurdle. Was can we do something with the dog? That's yes.
And then
okay. Second hurdle is can you get a Eurostar ticket?
Yeah, so I think we coordinated with Jo, didn't we? That she cancelled her.
No, she moved her seat.
She moved her seat just whilst I was logged on into the seat booking page, so I could quickly nab her seat before someone else did.
Because you had funny. We had like really. I was about to say you had a really
pimp setup with literally just a single each side of a table, and that's
it.
So
it was literally because you could have like single seats, and then you have the ones that are face forward, or there's the set of 4 tables, the single seats, or like this was like just a table for 2.
Yeah, that was perfect.
And I think thank you, standard Premier, because that's why you get the extra legroom. You get the better seats.
It was worth paying for the upgrade, because whilst we didn't need the meal, we didn't, it's just all that kind of stuff. But we didn't need the extra legroom, but it's having that nicer kind of seat, that nicer area to sit in and stuff. So I managed.
And we're away from the football people.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but they kind of.
To be fair, we're not saying that people that like football are a problem. We're saying people that get belligerently drunk, block up walkways in the Eurostar, and then realise I'm on that train and decide they have to get on that train, and then start chanting football chants very loudly with beers in hands. That's the problem. Not football fans.
Makes me ashamed to be British when I encounter people like that.
I mean, that's understandable.
Well. So we then had a quick sprint into London on the Friday after work.
To be fair, that wasn't too bad. We're very well located, I think.
Yeah, and also I think because we parked at Reading train station, didn't we? So we booked parking for like 4 days or whatever at Reading, and then left the car, drove to Reading, left the car there, got on the train to Paddington to King's Cross. Is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
With suitcases, not too bad on the tube, and then got on the Eurostar.
Easy peasy, smooth sailing. Had a little bit. I was meant to have like a proper bottle share with Jo, but I ended up just bringing a few beers for us, and you had like Unbards. We had I think the one that was really really good was like Unbards, Mississippi Mud.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was really. You enjoyed that?
We also had. Yeah, I did enjoy that. We also had a couple of the.
Oh, we had pretty we had some train beers and we had pretty decent. You can maybe do it, which I still want a welfare check on pretty decent, because their labels are. I want to be like, are you okay, guys?
And also, we also had the complimentary beers as well.
We had a complimentary.
Yeah. What was it again? It was
I don't even remember, but it was a lager, I think.
Yeah, I think she called it a
pale, but. When someone else on the train asked for it, he said the Pilsner. So, and she knew what he was talking about. So,
Yeah.
It was not too bad. We ended up like the hotel situation.
Yeah, so we changed the hotel.
We changed the hotel because we were like, well, there's 2 of us now, so we can kind of change slightly.
Yeah, and I think I'm sometimes more picky when it comes to hotels and locations. I think I wanted to be more centrally located.
And to be fair, the hotel Joe and I picked, we were centrally located.
But I wanted to be even more centrally located. I wanted to be right.
And because there was 2 of us, in one room now, as opposed to 2 individuals, it was a little bit more cost effective.
That was a bit of a saving grace. Though. We were a bit undecided, weren't we? We did kind of go back and forth between, obviously we didn't have massive amounts of choice of hotels at last minute, funnily enough. But yeah, we went back and forth between the one that we found.
We were literally in the car.
Hotel, which was...
It has I just want to take a moment to shout out Hubert. It's got personality. It is like an accidental Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
Meets like Art Deco. Meets like
very cool.
It's trying to also be like a bit fun, and it is a bit fun. Like you go in the lift, there was a party button.
There was a party button that played music and like
I didn't even know that there was a party button.
So when I sent you I sent you a video of me partying in the lift, and I guess you probably assumed it was a filter or something.
I didn't really know what was going on.
Register what was going on, just lights and music.
Just the fact that things were happening. And but like basically one of the lifts as well. It's not both the lifts. It's just one lift.
Just one lift's the party
has a button, and it's just this big button which just looks a bit like a panic button, and it didn't even really say anything. It looked like it used to say something, but it's been faded.
It's been smudged off with all the party buttons.
With all the partying, in the lift. And you push the button and lights go, and it plays music really loud.
It's pretty good.
At one point we did it when we were getting ready to check out of the hotel, and I pushed it, and then as we were exiting, thinking it wasn't going to work, because the night before we tried to show some people that came in the lift the button. We were like, hey, we pushed the button, nothing happened. We just look like dickheads.
Yeah. Well, I think they knew, because
they probably knew.
They'd probably done it before.
Or they just thought
they kind of laughed. So I think they knew what we were trying to do.
But if I were in their position and I saw 2 people push a button,
I would probably laugh anyway. Out of politeness, awkward politeness. So we rebooked the hotel. It was a bit lucky though, wasn't it? Because
we discovered after the fact that the original hotel that Joe and I had booked, in terms of location, we would have had to have gone uphill. It wasn't far away. It was about maybe
an extra 10 minutes, wasn't it?
No, it was about 8. It was less than 10 minutes. 10
Google,
max.
But yeah, 10
but
max.
It was uphill, on cobblestones.
So that would have been fun at the end of the night.
I'm thinking more of like when we made our way back to the train station with heavier bags and more bags.
Yeah,
that would have been difficult. And I think just getting suitcases there. So I think for me, it's the walking to the hotels unencumbered, like being able to just go, at the end of the night I'm walking there, that's completely fine.
Yeah, the hotel we picked was really good. Like it was flat.
I think that was very flat, and it was basically spitting distance from Gare Central.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
It was good. And yes, I think like the drawback was it was a little bit more touristy in that immediate area, and it was quite busy, and at night it was quite loud, but I didn't mind that. And I'd almost rather have a shorter walk home at the end of the night from where I am.
It's all about location.
So I would say like overall for anyone that's looking like, because we'll talk about what the Toer De Geuze is in a minute, but effectively it happens every 2 years. So if anyone's looking to do that in 2 years time now, budget wise for anybody that's wanting to do it, I think achievable budget per person where you're not going over the top, but you're also not going like bare bones minimum is probably about $1,000 to $1,500 per person.
Yeah.
And I think that's because that's like Eurostar was about 400. And that was you could have gone cheaper.
You could fly.
You could fly. You could fly. You could get a cheaper. You could just do like the bog standard. We did the upgraded, and obviously the times and the dates change things. Yeah. So we went like a Friday night until a Monday afternoon. So you can always do it cheaper, but roughly that was about £400. The hotel was probably, I'm rounding up, but about £400.
Yeah,
call that
20 or something, I think.
Like 800 all in for just the travel, the transport and accommodation. Because I would say once you start paying for the trains, like including the train to London
yeah,
and back from
50
London
each way, and
then you've got the car park situation, which I guess in theory you don't have to have. We chose to pre-book that.
I think it's costing you £1,000 before you've even eaten or drunk
anything.
Yeah,
so that's it.
So
I think travel accommodation and the actual ticket for the Tour de Geuze was €20. So I think once you factor that in and the basic traveling accommodation, no food or drinks, that is about £1,000, and then you're probably looking, depending on how big you want to go, maybe roughly I would say a budget of maybe 500. But that is, again, if you're traveling in a way where you want to have all the things in, like when I worked out this budget, that's because I also did a lot of takeaways. We had a lot of like food and coffee and beers and takeaway beers, and that was like the explicit. There wasn't a lot of other. We weren't doing a lot of other touristy things.
No, we basically
had been
just
to Brussels
drank,
before.
Did we? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you were going as a trip outside of beer, you'd probably want to spend maybe more. If you've been numerous times and you probably don't care about takeaways or whatever, you could probably get away with slightly less. So yeah, I think that's the kind of rough budget, just to help anyone that maybe wants to know. So I guess the question is, what is the Tour de Geuze? Do you want to try to answer it? Or do you want me to give the? Do you want to try to answer it and then I'll give the actual answer?
I could give a high level.
Okay, give a high level.
My high level is it is a bus tour of multiple breweries with a bunch of beer nerds.
I feel like that's not.
Okay, sorry, it's a bunch of bearded people.
There wasn't all bearded people.
There was many bearded gentlemen all jumping on a bus together. Well, 10 buses. There's literally like
there was a lot of buses.
10 buses full of people all piling into buses to go and drink all day in Belgium in random breweries, basically.
Right. Okay. I'll give the actual answer of what it is. Do you want some more? Would you like some more?
Yeah.
How are you finding it before we go?
It's nice.
Do you like it?
It is very.
Do you want to give me the tasting notes?
Similar tasting to the one we did have it.
I think we probably did.
Did we want to start with what we did before?
No, because I'm going to do that after.
Okay, fine.
Talk about this one's going to be Tour de Geuze focus.
Okay, fine. We go for it.
And if we get to the end, we'll talk about the rest, and then might be part 2. We'll see.
Okay, fine. Tour de Geuze. So, Tori, what is it really about?
I kind of appreciated yours because you spent the whole time. I will just preface this.
No, I didn't spend the whole time. I know what you're going to say. I did spend the whole time. I said it like twice.
I will preface this by just the multitude of times that you were there going, I feel like I'm an outsider, like I shouldn't be. I feel like I've infiltrated. It's like akin to how I feel being in the UK when people don't know, when they talk shit about Americans.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And I'm like, haha, yes, that is also the case.
So what is it then?
So what the Tour de Geuze actually is. So it was first organised on the 19th of October in 1997. And it runs every 2 years. It's always in late April and early May. And effectively, it's an open brewery day across breweries and blenderies within that immediate area. So there's the Valley of the Seine. There's another area that I struggle to pronounce. So I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But within that area, it's that local scene of the gooseries, the breweries and the blenderies. They open their doors so that visitors can come and bask in all the greatness of what they have to offer. From our experience, yeah, it's a lot of Lambic Beers. If you don't, it is called the Tour de Geuze. If you don't like Geuze as a style,
then you're not going to enjoy it.
Might not. Yeah. Like there was, I think, a few that had a few other things that weren't like straight up Geuze, or there was a bit more like
a couple of like fruity ones.
Well, yeah, I mean that is still Geuze, a style.
But, yeah.
But there were some that were a little bit more like left field that you maybe wouldn't expect when you think. And there was, if they did one or two other things, you might be able to buy it as well. But that was definitely less common.
Very much,
I don't think
minority, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I maybe saw like one or two that was not Geuze. But they basically open across the whole weekend. So there's only a handful there's a handful that are open either the Saturday or the Sunday. So if you are wanting to go yourself, it's probably best to, as Rik said, there was a lot of buses. So there was numerous options of which bus you could take, because we chose to go with Horal, and they ran, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I might mispronounce that entirely, so apologies if I am, but we bought tickets through them because it's free. Like, to go into these guzzeries, these breweries, these blenderies, it is free to enter. What you pay for is the drinks, and if you want food, merch, takeaways, like all that other stuff. The actual entrance fee is free of charge. But we paid the €20 for the bus tour, which is what he's talking about with the buses. So there's numerous buses. If there's certain places that you are wanting to go to, this year there were 14 different locations. I'm not going to run through all 14 because I feel like that is a lot. I'm bound to mispronounce a lot of it, so I'm not even going to try. But yeah, there were 14 this year. In 1997, when it first started, there were only 4 breweries and 2 blenderies.
Wow. Okay, so it's great.
It has massively grown, yeah. And yeah, with the 14, each bus, I believe, does 4. Ours did 4, and I think they all did 4. So I think that was probably the hardest part for Joe and I, was trying to work out, like, which bus is the bus, and like, do we go for 2 days? Do we go for 1 day? And I think we ultimately said we were just going to do the 1 day because we wanted another free day to be able to go around and do what we wanted. Yeah. I wanted to be able to go to Cantillion. I wanted to go to a few other places. So that gave us the least amount of pressure without having to take work off, to be able to get that experience.
Yeah.
And also get to have some free time as well. Yeah. I think all the ones that we went to operated on a you buy tokens. It was like a token system. It felt very like beer, like UK beer festival. You buy the tokens,
then trade
and
then
you trade the tokens in. Yeah, there was only a handful that actually, I think they all did. There might have been one that didn't, but I'm fairly certain.
So the last place didn't.
The last place didn't. That was just straight up buying them, wasn't it? Yeah. But all the rest
were
token based. Yeah. So yeah, that is a little bit. I got a t-shirt. I'm wearing my Toer De Geuze shirt on it. T-shirt. You did not get a t-shirt. No. But you did bring a bag, which was really helpful because we walked around with that backpack for the first day.
You're getting.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. But
back to Toer De Geuze.
Back to the Toer De Geuze. That's the high level of what it is. I'll have Joe put in the show notes. Joe, please, in the show notes, could you put the link to where we bought our bus tickets? Down here. Or here, or there, or I don't know where it's going to end up.
Here.
So there will be a link and you can check it out for yourself. So what I found quite challenging was there wasn't a lot of information on the website, which is kind of why I decided, we should make this episode. Was it was there, but it was a little bit vague in terms of what was on the website. Joe managed to find some details on a blog that, again, Joe, if you may please share the blog that you sent me, that's probably really, really useful. It's not up there, it's probably down there. Okay. If anyone's just listening, Rick's pointing to where it might be,
where a link should be inserted. Insert link here.
Yeah, insert the link somewhere. You listen to too many of those podcasts.
I clearly watch too many YouTubers where they just go link here and then it just appears. I assume it's really easy to do. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's a lot of
Joe,
work.
you really need to step it up and get that link appears
put
here.
Links across my face. That'd be really funny.
That would be actually quite funny. So she found an article that was from 2017, and so it was a blog post that somebody had done. I'll probably end up doing my own if I can be asked, because we all know that I overcommit to everything. So I probably.
But you're pretty good at writing blog posts.
I'm really
writing.
Not.
I wouldn't say publishing. Maybe I think you do a lot of draft and then they never see the light of day. I think that happens sometimes, doesn't it?
That happens all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Nailed it in one.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good to be able to do
there's not a lot of info out there. Yeah.
God, you do so much better at keeping things on track than Joe and I. We vary. Like, we just veer off. You're like back to the topic. Yeah. Now I feel like my mission is to try to derail it as much as possible, just for funsies. So yeah, that was basically, I know that once there was like a lot of information, still not all the information that I needed, but a good decent amount more information when you actually went to purchase the tickets. But on the Saturday, when I went to go double check things, you couldn't get to that ticket purchase website anymore. At least I couldn't.
Yeah.
So I lost quite a lot of information that I was hoping to find still. That main page that Horal's posted, the problem was it was like, it said stuff along the lines of, and it will drop you back at Halle station, and the last bus goes at this time. It would tell you the first bus was due to leave on Sunday at 9:30, because it basically says the times that all the places opened up at, and it would say, in order to get to the first place by this time, you have to get to this bus. It will leave without you. You need to be there. But it wasn't really clear where the buses were leaving from. Just that at the end of the trip, it was going back to Halle station. So I messaged Joe, like, do you know where it is we're meant to be going? Thankfully, she confirmed it was Halle station, because I literally was like, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, it kind of felt like we were winging it a little bit.
It was a bit. I didn't really know what the structure of the day was going to be like. I didn't really know what to expect. There was definitely no, like, here's what to expect situation. To be fair as well, I will be completely honest, like, we could have done a lot more research on it, but because we had left it because we weren't sure we were going to be able to go.
Yeah, you kind of kicked that can down the road a little bit.
Yeah, we absolutely kicked the can down the road. Too far, and then it was literally the day before, and I was like, I don't really know where we're meant to be going. So thankfully Joe was feeling well enough that she could see my message, respond to my message, and let me know, because you could probably figure it out, but it is a little bit open to interpretation, because I didn't know if the structure was you started at one spot, you go through everywhere, and then you end at a completely different spot.
Yeah.
So that's why I wasn't sure about the train station, and I was unfamiliar obviously with how the transport worked over there and all that. So I guess really, do you want to talk about, so I can tell you the order that we did it, and you can talk about maybe more of what, like, how it actually worked.
Okay,
cool. So the order that we went to is we decided, because Joe and I really wanted to go to Tilquin. I was like, really, really, really want to go to Tilquin, and there was another one that Joe really, really wanted to go to, and I can't remember which of them it was. Because there was, like, I think there was a few that she wanted to go to, but basically I picked one, she picked one, and then we're like, oh, let's go to something where there's a few that, you know, I hadn't heard of or hadn't tried. So we ended up doing Tilquin first. Actually, we can talk about getting there in a minute, but we went to Tilquin first, then Lambiek Fabriek, then Kestemont, then we finished at De Cam before going back to the station and heading back home. So basically, we ended up getting up. So as I mentioned at the start, we were closer to Gare Central, and the best place to get the train from was from the Midi station, Brussels Midi. So we got we had to be there by 9:30, like.
Yeah, the ticket said 9:30.
Yeah, 9:30, it was leaving without you. So we managed to get there with, I don't know, maybe 6-10 minutes.
Yeah, so I think our train was due to get into Halle station at 9:20.
Yeah, so we had like 10 minutes to spare. Yeah, there was like a few minutes walk there, but it was really, really clear. So basically what you do is you've got your ticket, you'll print it out. They've got your name on a sheet of paper. Your ticket will have your name on it. Hilariously, I was really worried they were going to question the fact that it said Tori and Joanne Love.
So, yes, you were more worried. You were worried about the names, because I grabbed Joe's ticket.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. You were really worried about the names. I saw that there was QR codes on the tickets. I thought, well, surely they're just going to scan the QR code. So they don't really give a monkeys like whose name is on it. They're just going to scan a code. It's going to register as a valid purchase ticket. Job's done. But no, they had a list of names, and they were literally ticking people off the list. So we just said Joanne and Tori.
Well, I remember
we didn't specify who was who.
I remember when Joe and I booked, like, I could have sworn that there was something there that said that they were going to be checking IDs, and that's why I panicked a bit.
Yeah,
because I thought it was like I recall them saying something along the lines of, like, in order to book this, you know, book the name,
valid ID,
valid ID, yeah. So
luckily
that's why
not,
I was a bit like,
because that would have been a bit awkward. But we thought we'd give it a go because there was no other option. I
tried folding it, thinking he was just gonna I tried folding the names out.
You folded Joe's name out.
I folded both of the names out, thinking, he'll just scan the QR code. That's all he cared about. And he was like,
"Where's the name?
Where's the name?"
And it was just like, okay, but yeah, he took the names off the list, and yeah, we got on.
Yes, they had the buses all have the numbers at the front of them, so it's really, really clear and obvious of like which bus is the one you're going for, because you book, it will say like whichever one you book will say bus number blah blah blah, and here's all the stops, and then you book that, you find it, you go to the queue, He doesn't scan your QR code. He takes your name off a list. Yeah. And in our case, there was people that were like, I don't even know what was happening with that situation. There were people that we ended up leaving late, which was really annoying because there were some people trying to get on the bus that I think had an issue with their ticket.
Yeah. It wasn't the end of the world.
No, it wasn't the end of the world, but it was late. But I recommend getting there as early as possible because there's like, with the seats, you could end up like, if you really want to sit with the person that you're traveling with, you could, the later you get there, the less likely there is that there's seats together and you're going to have to swap because that was sort of
I think we probably, you say like, yeah, it's not like we got there late or anything, but I think we turned up at the same time as everyone else.
Yeah.
I think
we were all on the train.
Because we were all on the train together. And this is where it goes back to my comment earlier about hanging out with a bunch of beer nerds. So yeah, so when we got on the train, we weren't sure. Well, no, when we were waiting at Gare Central to get the train to Halle, I think you...
No, you mean Midi, when we were at Midi station.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think because we didn't get on at Midi.
We did. On at
Central
to Midi,
yeah,
and then we got off, changed over.
Anyway, we were stood on the platform and you spotted someone with a Cantillon t-shirt. No, you spotted a couple, didn't you? Were both wearing Cantillon t-shirts, and you went, I bet they're going to the tour as well. And then you spotted a couple of other guys.
But there was like a group of dudes that looked, they weren't drinking, but there was a bunch of dudes stood around that looked like they would. Like if you were to make a meme,
a little bit like they looked a little bit like beery nerds, didn't they?
Yeah. So yeah, in the sense of it was like if you were to meme people and be like, oh, those are definitely the ones, like stereotyping them.
Stereotypes. Yeah. So you pointed this out on the platform before
I said not
we
to
got
be
on
a
the train,
stereotype.
and you went not to like stereotype and typecast people, but I think we're going to the right place because I think they're going with us. So they got on the train, same carriage as us.
But as that's happening, more people were turning up that had like brewery t-shirts on.
It was when we got to Midi that loads of people got on.
People were coming on the train though, and they were going like, "Hey!"
Yeah, and they all seemed to know each other
from the day before.
And there was a bunch of people who got on the train who were all wearing beer t-shirts and lots of beards.
Yeah.
And so we kind of knew we were going to the right place.
It was very multicultural though. There was like people from all over the place.
It seemed like there was a lot of different nationalities that kind of made the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was it was funny just because the fact that I was like, I don't want to make a snap judgment, but if I had to make a snap judgment, I think we're okay. And then like another person would turn up and then I'd go, that person's got a brewery t-shirt. I think we're okay. And then someone rocks up with like Cantillon and I was like, we're definitely okay.
And then when we got to Halle station and just literally this mass exodus, everyone on that train got off and everyone was climbing those stairs together and every single person there was going on that beer tour. There was hundreds of people. We
saw the tour buses in the distance,
and there was
but like it didn't look like any of them said like Horal on it or anything like that. So I was like, I don't know if this is like a different tour because I knew basically for the Toer De Geuze you can take multiple approaches to it. So like you could drive yourself if you want to. Like if you live there, you could drive. I don't recommend that. That is not safe. Like if you're going to go and you're going to drive, you can't drink and drive. So that's not.
Yeah, we don't recommend that at all.
We do not get a Women's Brew podcast.
We definitely don't endorse.
RickPower.co.uk does not endorse.
Do not endorse drink
driving at all. But also another thing that I saw was that you could bike, and there was actually quite a few people that were cycling. Again, don't know if I could co-sign that because I feel like you could only do so many before.
It depends on your kind of tolerance, but also your ability to bike. I mean, if you're a really good cyclist, I'm sure you can do it. Yeah, but I feel like you have to be a really good cyclist and like a really good drinker. Yeah.
To do like at least more than 4, because if you were trying to do like more than 4, I think.
Know these people's thresholds.
I don't, but what I'm saying is you've got to be pretty good because I think like I don't think I could.
I mean, maybe they weren't doing the tour that people saw. Maybe they were just hitting up there.
Maybe they're just getting takeaways.
Yeah, or just hitting up.
But it is quite a well known, well done thing, which is to bike between them. That is an option of like what people. It literally says on the website like you can bike between them.
Yeah.
So
our first stop was Tilquin.
Yeah. So we went to Tilquin. We got what was great is we got on the bus and it was like we were on a table. We ended up having to grab a seat on a table with someone else, which later the best thing ever was that Pedro Pedro song came on. I was just there, minding my own business, just living my life. And the guy next to me lit up like a Christmas tree.
He
and
knew all
he
the
was
words.
just like, ah! And then like he's like shouting like Pedro, and I was there like, yes,
He was
I'm
like,
so happy.
he knew all the words.
He knew
was very
all
into
the
that.
words. He knew all the words. He was amped. His family was amped. I was amped. You were probably miserable because I was like amped about Pedro Pedro.
I had no idea what you were talking
because
about.
the fact that I say to you all the time, "Oh, Pedro Pedro."
You don't say it all the time. You literally started saying it that day.
Then it's at work. I say Pedro
you probably
Pedro.
say it to your work colleagues, yeah, because they probably TikTok and all sorts because they're all 12 as well.
That is very rude. Actually, no, I think I'm the one that actually was like, "Hey guys, can I tell you about Pedro Pedro?"
So less Pedro Pedro, more.
That was my favourite part, actually. Maybe.
No, it wasn't.
Was the Pedro Pedro. So basically we ended up leaving and getting to the first place, which was Tilquin. Because we left slightly after 9:30, I don't actually know how long in between each stop that it was meant to take to get places. So I don't know what time we were meant to arrive at. I only know what time we did arrive at. So we got to Tilquin roughly for about 10 o'clock. So I would say it probably wasn't that far. It's maybe about a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous because you sit on the bus and you
lovely
look out and you just see the
countryside,
beautiful countryside. And like the houses are so like, they're so familiar yet so different in the sense of like I was looking at all like the houses we drove by and like the roofs were so like steep. It looked like similar to parts of like the US, but the roofs were super, super steep. And it was just like beautiful architecture. They're all very like different. Whereas I feel like here in the UK, you tend to have like houses are looking all a similar type of way, and that just like wasn't what it was out there. Saw lots of animals, like lots of farms.
Yeah, it was nice, kind of out in the countryside, wasn't it? It's very, very nice locations that we drove through.
It was lovely, and then we sort of got off the bus there, and they had like a hog roast. It smelled amazing. It was too early for me to eat.
Yeah, it was.
But I really wanted it because I was like, but we didn't get it in the end.
It probably wasn't ready yet. They probably only just started it. I mean, 10
well,
o'clock.
I mean, it looked pretty. It looked pretty solid.
Yeah.
What was your take? I don't want to talk more about it. I want to know what your take was like when we got to that first location. Like, what?
So it looked very. Tilquin? So Tilquin to me looked very similar to like a UK brewery. So massive marquee setup, with loads of benches inside. As you said, the ticket count. The first thing you see is the not the ticket counter, the tokens. Sorry, tokens, not tickets. Yeah, the token exchange. Buy your tokens, get your glass, go into the tent, order at the bar. There's a bunch of benches. So yes, it looked just like
big bench. It's funny that no matter where you go in the world, you can travel to like the farm country in Belgium, like, and no matter what, big bench is there.
Big bench is there.
Big bench is there. Big bench is always watching.
Yes, my initial impression was, it looked like a UK beer festival. And until I guess the wannabe Morris dancers turned up.
Well, that's it. I don't know anything about this. And what do you mean until then? I feel like that just doubled down on the fact that it felt.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't feel UK. It felt UK up until that point because that was very well. I suppose that was.
That's the thing. You're saying it feels like a UK beer festival, which it did, and then it just doubled down by being like, "Here's some fake ass Morris dancers," but they were awesome.
Yeah, well, you say that, but they were so much. Yeah, they were so much better than Morris dancers because instead of using they were using swords basically. We probably should have researched what those things were that they were jumping around with.
Basically, unlike Morris dancers, instead of using like their hankies and their wooden stick
buttons,
I don't know, like wooden sticks.
They had like blades with double-headed
blades, and they were like, "Oh, we're doing like the sword dance or something like that."
It was really good. It was really impressive. I think you videoed some of it.
I videoed some of it. They were doing. Cool.
They were flipping each other and
jumping
doing,
over
backflips and jumping over the swords, and
it was insane.
Leaning back and spinning around. It was great.
I love a good Morris dance. First of all, like Morris dancing, that gets the people going. It gets me excited. I love watching it. I don't know why. I like watching it because I'm like, I really don't know enough about it that like I just came to the
It's like a
UK
dark
one
art.
day,
And
came
all
to
of
the
a sudden
UK
they
one
turned
day,
up at a beer festival.
and I went to a
probably.
beer festival, and I was like,
Morris
"What
dancers.
the fuck is
You're like, what's
this?"
going on? Yeah.
And he was just like, "It's Morris dancing." Like, it was just so normal, and I was like, "What? Like, this is not a thing that we do in the US." I was like, "This is not just normal. This is not just normal behavior," and it just made me so jovial that I have just loved. Like, I just think Morris dancing is fucking great. But then we got to this, and they were doing like Morris dancing, but with swords.
It was cool. It was very cool.
Oh yeah, we should have researched what
we should
it was.
We should have looked up before we recorded this to what they were. But yeah, they were cool. They were very cool. They did
cool.
2 dances as well. Then they did one in the tent, then one outside.
One in the tent, one outside the tent. And they were like super fancy dressed. You were like, I feel underdressed.
Oh yeah, they were like in suits and ties and waistcoats.
Yeah, they were in waistcoats. Yeah, waistcoats with like fun waistcoats as well. One of them had like a galaxy printed waistcoat. I was like, that's awesome. So I really enjoyed that.
So do you want to talk about the beers there then? Because obviously that's the place that you wanted to go to.
Well, yeah, but so I've had Tilquin before.
Okay.
I wanted to go there because I really like Tilquin beers.
Okay. Yeah.
The one lesson, I think we'll talk about lessons learned at the end, but just like high level of like lesson learned there. If you're on the Toer De Geuze and you want to buy something, buy it soon as, because there are people that are buying lots of these beers.
I mean, they clearly weren't on a tour bus.
No, they weren't on a tour bus. They definitely had like their own car or something. Because these people were buying, they were like, there was about
crates of them,
6 or 9 of them, and they were buying. So each of the you could get them in a box, and there was like 3 to 6 in a box. And I thought there was like multiple people in front of me in the queue, because you kind of like go and you order and then you kind of wait to pay and you make your way through. I thought there was like 1 or 2 people in front of me. Turns out there was like a bunch of them in front of me. I was just trying to get 3 bottles. Like, that was it. I was just getting two small ones and a big one. Because I really wanted to get, so for the Toer De Geuze, they do a mega blend. And that is like a bunch of them come together and make a mega blend. They do that sort of every year. So I really wanted that, and I wanted to make sure I got it first and foremost, because I thought it probably wouldn't, but I didn't want to wait until the end of the day where wherever we ended up didn't have any or whatever, because they didn't all have them. I wanted to make sure I got it while I could. So I was like, I'll get that first. And I thought, while I'm here, it was so cheap comparative to like how much you would pay for some of them over here. So like just a small bottle of it was, I don't know, €5, €4. So I ended up getting 2 small bottles because they were so cheap, and a big one. And I'm just standing there queuing, and then like someone comes in with like a trolley, like quite a big delivery trolley, like you'd deliver a fridge freezer on.
Yeah. And they were just loading up with boxes,
they were just packing it up with boxes. And then I thought, well, that's it, they filled up one thing, that's great, that's it. No, it kept going. They came back like a second and third time.
Yeah, they were stocking up.
But like, I couldn't even say that they were trying to mule it back to the UK, because they sounded like they spoke French, so they definitely like. And they were like, when they were talking to each other. No, that's what I'm saying, is they weren't going back to the UK like to mule it. They obviously like live around there, because if they drove there, they probably either live around there or somewhere driving.
Yeah, maybe they just live locally and they're stocking up for a party or something.
Or they live. in another part of Europe, drove there.
Or they've got a bottle shop, and that's where they're.
It was insane. I've never seen anything like it. I was just like, to the point though that it took me the better part of 20 to 25 minutes, if not slightly longer, to make my purchase. And they were very clear. The bus was like, if you're not back on it,
we're gonna leave.
We are gonna leave. And I nearly shit myself, because I was like, it is now 5 minutes to go. Okay. Thankfully, one thing I can say about these locations is a lot of them let you keep the glasses, because you pay a deposit for the glass. So I said to you, while I'm here, can you just find out if we get to keep these glasses or if we have to return them? You went and did that. You sorted out the glasses.
Yeah,
You're allowed to keep them at Tilquin.
Yeah.
So we've kept them. We brought one back for Joe. You were great, because you were like, I said, oh, did you send yours back? And you went, no, I thought Joe might want it.
I thought Joe might want a glass, so we got 2 glasses from Tilquin.
So I was like, that's nice. Still, like, the queue was not moving.
Yeah, so I went ahead to the bus to basically tell them you're going to be late.
We started off going, the bus isn't there, the bus isn't there.
Because it had
moved.
different location that we couldn't even see it. So
it had moved to a place that we didn't expect it to be. And we were like, he was like, oh, the bus isn't there. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. And you texted me, but I couldn't see my phone because it was in my bag. And I had my hands full. So I was like, shit. I managed. They did say they would wait for that. They would hold the buses 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes,
And then if you weren't on it, you weren't on it.
Then they were going without you.
And you managed to be like outside the bus, like she's on her way. Yeah, I was next in the queue, so I was like, I couldn't.
Well, that was it. You didn't want to abandon your queue post because you'd got. Almost,
I was next in the queue, so and they were like literally, like it was their final lorry load.
Yeah, so I went ahead. I told the bus driver like. She's just coming, like, just wait a minute, sort of thing. I'm not sure if the guy cared. I'm not sure if he was actually going to. He really didn't. He seemed like he'd done enough of these tours to know that people get left behind.
But that was my
they're
first,
late and they just don't tolerate it.
That was the first top tip of like definitely make your purchase at the start.
Was purchase at the beginning because if you leave it till halfway through, you might not even make it.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was our.
So around that, the worst part was there was people behind me. There was a multiple group behind me. One of which were the people we were sitting next to on the bus, but they abandoned it, came back to the bus because there was just no way.
Yeah, they didn't think they were going to make it.
There was someone that came right after me, so that was okay. But then there was like two guys that came after as the bus was pulling away, and they were literally running after the bus.
Luckily, the bus pulled over and let them on.
But there was traffic, so the bus couldn't go right away anyway. So they got really lucky. Because the bus couldn't pull away because they were waiting for people to cross the road. They definitely learned their lesson as well. Didn't they? I think everyone learned their lesson of like the bus is leaving.
The bus takes no shit.
The bus doesn't gives no shit.
The bus waits for no.
The bus waits for no man, woman, child. Like, which is another thing that I can say if you're looking at going. The Toer De Geuze is family friendly. There was a lot of families there. There's a lot of families on the bus. There was a lot of families at the events.
Yeah, dogs. Obviously not on the buses.
Not on the buses.
Unfortunately, that would have been more fun.
But that would have been awesome.
That would have been cool. But all the events had dogs. Yes, that was Tilquin. That was our first stop.
Yep. So then we left Tilquin and we got to Lambiek Fabriek for about noon. This time I knew how long we stayed because he said, I'm going to give you about an hour and a half because
gave us a bit extra time.
He said, I'm going to give you some extra time
because they serve food
there. They serve food.
So he thought people might want to get lunch.
He said it's lunchtime.
Yeah, it's lunchtime.
We'll stay a bit longer.
Food truck there.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is they had a food truck, but it was just like burgers and sausages and chips. And then there was like an ice cream stand. And that was fine. Like, but I think when we hear food truck, we're like, food truck? And we think like artisanal food trucks. But it was just like, it was fine.
It was fine.
It's probably like a local person with their food truck, and it was probably fine, but
cashes in on it.
I was not in the mood for it though.
No, it was a bit early still, like to eat, and also it was
I wasn't really like. I was like, I'm not really feeling a sausage and a hamburger, but we did get some chips. We got some
frites because it's Belgium, and you know they're famous for their fries. So we got some frites, and they were fine. And
andouille, wasn't it? You had some andouille sauce on it.
Andouilles. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it's andouille.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was good. It was nice.
The sauce was
fine. It was fine. It was fries.
Yeah, it was fine. They were fries.
It was chips.
You can't really fuck fries up though, can you?
And you made a beer friend, didn't you?
I made a beer friend who like we then ended up just like chatting to them the rest of them, which was actually really great because one thing that was really good about having a beer friend was because a lot of these places the bottles were like 750 mils. You could very rarely they would have, so like Lambiek Fabriek had 2 beers on tap. They had two linders of beer. They were meant to have a third one, but that looks like the beer of the day. That looks like it had gone because they'd crossed it off the menu. So they just had 2, and the rest were all bottles. And the majority of them were like really big bottles, not the 375 mil bottles.
Yeah.
They were 750s. Yeah. And I was like, well, we're definitely not going to make through a lot here.
Yeah, we're not going to have a lot of beers. Yeah.
So when I think one of their partners had gone off, you had gone to the toilet, because this is another good thing about traveling in pairs, is somebody can go to the toilet while the other person holds the spot table, or gets the beers, or
we had a nice corner out in the
food.
sun, didn't we? Because it was a lovely sunny day.
But the sun was only hitting
one corner, and we managed to grab a corner of a pallet table. So yes, we wanted to hold that, didn't we? So yeah,
big bench.
So and you made a beer friend.
So I looked over and she had a Holy Goat t-shirt on, and thank you, like all hail the goat. I looked over and I was like, I love your shirt.
You're like,
it was a goat witch top. I was like, I love Holy Goat. Goat witch is my favorite artwork. Like, let's go. And so then we kind of like chatted periodically there, but like I feel like where Tilquin was more that traditional like beer festival vibes that you'd get over here from like Canberra Beer Festival, Real Ale festivals and stuff, like not in a negative way, like it just had that more traditional
feel to it,
and I loved that in its own way. I loved that.
Yeah.
When we went to Lambiek Fabriek, like that was a lot more.
Felt more like just.
It felt more like the type of place that we would probably go and hang out in more so. Like they had like a cool car out front that was like decked out with stickers of Lambiek Fabriek all over it. There was like just even inside the tap room, it just like looked like a normal.
Yeah, it just looked like the sort of like tap room that we'd go to on the weekend, sort of thing. Yeah,
but they had like the big. Oh, that was awesome! The big like photos, and I was just in front of it, like I'm going to take a photo in front of this. This is awesome.
Yeah, so and as you're saying, you know, it was quite handy that we made some beer friends because there was a lot of big bottles.
So
we did a little bit of a share.
So while we were there, it was like we periodically chatted throughout, and then I was like, cool. Do you want to like? She was like, oh, you could try some of ours. I was like, you could try some of ours.
Yeah, we did a lot of bottles.
Like, do you mind? We'll share each other. I was like, don't mind at all. And I was like, please finish, because there's no way, just absolutely no way I'm going to be able to finish all of this and not even going to be able to get another one. So from then on, we kind of like just naturally, just sort of like for the last place, anyways, we ended up just kind of sat with them, like sharing bottles.
At Fabriek. So you bought a couple of beers from there?
Bought some beers from there. Got a glass from there.
The glass was... Yeah, there was a glass.
Yeah, there was a glass from there, and it had like a nice gold rim on it, so that was cool. I really liked that one. Yeah, that was sort of... We didn't eat as much as maybe like everyone else kind of stopped and ate. I wasn't in the mood.
Not in the mood. It's not amazing looking food, was it?
No. So then, piled back on the bus. Thankfully, what I can say is I left my...
You left your box.
I left my box of beers from Tilquin on the bus because I knew the bus wasn't moving. And that was like a test. I was like doing a blind test of faith there. The bus didn't move.
The bus didn't move and knock your box off the table or anything. So that was stop number 2, wasn't it?
Piled back on the bus. We got to Kestemont for 2 p.m. Kestemont was cool.
It was lovely looking, wasn't it?
So I would say the last 2 were the ones that had the more traditional feel, whereas this one was like bigger than I expected. Lovely. No.
Oh, sorry.
No, Kestemont.
Kestemont.
It was like lovely, very traditional looking.
Yeah,
it
was like an old converted.
It looked like a farm, proper farm, but like just absolutely picturesque, beautiful. Yeah, they had like a band playing. They had like bike races on the TV at one point.
Massive TV.
I was chuckling.
Tour de whatever it is, Belgium, whatever.
Yeah,
Tour d'Italia or something.
Yes,
going on.
There was one of the bike races.
Italian something.
I was chuckling because at one point, like, as a person in IT, they had an error on the
message
TV.
came up. Yeah,
I took a photo of it because it made me chuckle because it was like all in French, but then it was like error code.
You learned your lessons learned from the first place, so you went up straight away, basically, bought your takeaways.
Joe had one that she really wanted.
And you bought some you got a t-shirt.
Got my t-shirt.
Is that where you got that t-shirt from?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you got that t-shirt from there.
Kestemont on the back. Bunnies on it.
With the bunnies, yeah.
And we managed to get our beer. So they actually had like 375ml bottles, which was a lot more manageable. So we were kind of just out there, but we managed to get the beers like in time, and they started doing like a tour. So like we missed the tour aspect. We just missed the tour aspect of it. But
the guided tour, but we still managed to do a self.
But we still did like a self tour, and that was really cool as well. I think you got to see some really old barrels just like there that you could see like had exploded at one point, and it was just
and smell the hops.
The smell, It was that was really cool, and seeing that set up in such an old building to me, I think was really cool. You can almost just imagine how that like functions in the day-to-day, just like historically how that
and it was had quite a big courtyard area, didn't it?
It was a lovely, beautiful,
and it was
sunny
a lovely,
courtyard.
beautiful, sunny day. So we just spent the whole time outside, didn't we? In the
There
sun.
were lots of dogs there.
There was lots of dogs.
There was lots of dogs there.
Very dog friendly, dog positive.
Dog positive, and I really like that.
Dog
and
positive,
like I said, I really liked that the bands were playing, and that was all really good. But then piled back on the bus, and then we got to De Cam by 3:45ish, 4:00ish, and that was the last stop of the day. That one felt more traditional as well, so it felt like it was like it blended Tilquin and Kestemont together, because you had like this traditional element that was definitely more like traditional family owned, family focused. Like it felt like a family lived there and was running it, and that's how. And it had that traditional element to it, while also having this like really gorgeous, small, historic building looking site. Just looked like, again, like it was like an old farm,
Yeah.
There was a lot of locals, like a lot of people that literally lived right by it that were there, because we were on the table with
an old guy,
which was really funny, because like one of them was just bubbling out, and we were trying to put us again. We found that couple again.
Yeah, we met up with the beer friends again, and we shared a few bottles with them. And one of the beers they bought exploded on them.
It was just
literally just exploded.
Couldn't get it to come out, and the guy was like, "It shouldn't do that."
Yeah. So the guy, not the beer friend guy, but the older guy sat at the table. The local said, "Oh, it shouldn't. It shouldn't do that. It shouldn't do that. Take it back and get another one," sort of thing. So that guy took it back and got another one, and then
did the same thing.
And then the older gentleman took it upon himself to open it, because I guess he possibly thought that he could do it better, or
he knew more the secret.
Our beer friends from Manchester, the guy, maybe the older gentleman thought that Manchester dude may have not opened it correctly, but same thing happened again, same thing, and so yes, obviously maybe he didn't know better. But yeah, so that was the last stop, wasn't it?
That was the last stop. I think we were tired by that point anyways, but
a lot of day drinking.
Yeah, a lot of day drinking. Then we pretty much
we did a bottle share with them on for a couple of those.
We did a couple bottle shares there
with those guys. We had one of those pies, those pie things. I can't remember what they're called. Belgium.
I don't know what it's called. I can't remember.
I looked it up. It's not a pastel di nata.
No,
it's
but
similar.
It has that.
It's got the same kind of buttery.
It's so good.
Custody insides, and it looked like a little family, because there was two kids and a guy inside selling them that was selling them. It looked like a little homemade kind of pie. It was really nice.
Yeah, we did a tour around that as well, like a self-guided tour around that.
Yeah,
that
around there, kind of
super cool
brewery,
to look at as well. But that pie was amazing.
Yeah, pie was really good. And then we hung out with the beer friends again, didn't we? Talked to them for a little bit, and then we had to catch the bus.
Yeah, caught the bus, piled off again.
Wow.
Tried to buy a glass there, like couldn't buy the glass.
Oh yeah,
and then they were like, "Oh, just take this," sort of thing. I was like, oh, "Okay, cool." So I took it. Turns out we got back. I didn't really recognize it at the time, because like I kept being like, "Oh, can I?" But it said that they were like selling glasses, and I was like, "Oh, can I buy a glass?" And they were like, "Yeah." And each time they kept handing me like a new glass, but it was like
just a plain.
It's just like an IKEA one, just to go and drink.
Yeah, so they obviously misunderstood that you wanted to buy a glass as a memorabilia versus,
which is fair enough, right? And then eventually there was like, "Oh, just have this one. It had like De Cam written on it." I was like, "Okay, cool, that's fine." Didn't really think about it. Just sort of like took it. I was like, "Great, happy days, thank you." Didn't pay for it or anything. They're just like, just take this. Okay. Yeah. So I get back to the hotel, and we're like packing our bags like on the Monday.
On the last day, yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I've got this glass, And you look at it and you went, this is just a sticker.
Yeah, I was packing the glasses and I spotted it and I went, this is literally just a sticker. And then you look at the bottom of the glass and it says IKEA on the bottom.
It's an IKEA glass.
It's just another different IKEA glass with a sticker.
Yeah, so not needless to say, I didn't. But he was like, "Do you want me to take the sticker off?" I was like, "No, it's fine." No, needless to say, I didn't take it back.
No, we didn't need.
No, and I would say actually, all in all, that was like quite a full day. But what I really liked about it as well is we got back to Brussels proper by about 5 p.m. So if you are a person that was paid, so we did end up going to another place or two, got food and all that, but basically with the pacing yourself aspect of it. If you did want to still have the night to go out and about,
you've still got your evening.
You still had the evening.
It's a full day, because obviously it's like 9:30 till 5ish, as you said. But
I could see,
still got the
especially
evening.
if you're a person that's done Brussels before, and you've gone to like those iconic spots that you really want to go to that might be open only earlier in the day, or you might not be able to get to because you've run out of time or whatever. Like, you could easily, if you've gone to those places already, you could easily do the Saturday and the Sunday, get to 8 different guzzeries, and then still have time in the evening to go to some of the great spots. Because
go for restaurants,
we got back, we got some dinner, we got a coffee, and then we still managed to get to Brussels Beer Project, because we just happened to find that while we were walking. It was on my list, but like, I thought, I'm not going to bother because it's going to be too far out of the way. We still managed to get to Brussels Beer Project and Arbonne du Temps, which was like so awesome. And then we had a beer at the hotel and went to bed pretty much. I think that's kind of all of it. That was our full day. I think it was a really, really good one. What were your highlights? Like, what was your favourite parts, your favourite beers? I know we talked about this on the car on the way back, but favourite beers, favourite location, favourite part of the day? On the Toer De Geuze specifically.
From the Toer De Geuze specifically. So I feel like they all kind of, the problem I have with
you can be honest as a person, because you've got to say as a person who's not an expert on beer, especially not on Belgian beers, I feel like they have a very similar taste profile to you, Lambic specifically, not just Belgian beers, but the Lambics.
Yeah, so obviously normally I drink quite a variety of beers. I like to kind of switch up between like sours, stouts, West Coast, East Coast kind of thing. Whereas I think the Lambics, which obviously have completely different flavour profiles, whereas a lot of the Lambics have very similar tastes. So I could probably struggle to tell the difference between a lot of them. So I know that I think the Mega Blend was pretty good. I think we had at the last place, I can't remember, I'm not very good with names, or I don't want to butcher them. So yeah, the last place we had a couple of different ones there. I think there was an apricot one, a mandarin one, apple one, things like that. Those were quite nice because they all had that kind of
fruitiness element,
the fruitiness, which kind of made them different. So those were pretty good. They're all very good. It's just I think a lot of beers were drank.
At one point, the bottles were so big that we were like, we're never going to be able to finish them before we have to get the bottles. We were making our own blend. Like, I was making my own blends at one point. They were like, they jokingly, the couple from Manchester were jokingly like, make your own blend. I was like, you know what? I was like, actually,
as someone who doesn't make tasting notes either, I obviously can't remember.
Yeah, that's fair.
So nothing really stood out. It was maybe just a couple of the ones at the last place stood out. Maybe that's a recency bias because they were the last ones.
That's fair.
So nothing especially from that day stood out.
I think, to be fair, they all do have like they're in their own ways, like, because when you have like a traditional like goes, they can all, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't make tasting notes. I get how you could come out of that being like they have a similar,
because they're a similar style. Yeah, they're not.
Whereas if you had similar fruit ones from each of them, you might say, oh, they are similar as well. I think for me it was like Tilquin's. Like, I really, really enjoyed. I mean, I liked all of them, to be fair. There was nothing that I was like, oh, I don't.
No, there's nothing like we were like oh, we're not going to finish this. No, they're all really good. But yeah, no, Tilquin was
I think
good.
Tilquin's were the ones.
Yeah, Tilquin's were pretty good, weren't they?
Tilquin's were good. I think they might have been my favourites today. But then maybe that's just because I went in with the instead of recency bias, I went with the bias of that was the one that but I actually really enjoyed all of them, to be fair. I didn't have any that there was nothing that stood out to me as not being good.
No.
In terms of locations, I like them all for different reasons, for the exact reasons that we already said, which was like Tilquin had that beer festival vibe. It had the hog roast. It had like the fake ass Morris dancers. It had all that element of it. That was just really fun and very like, it felt like you were at a special event. Whereas some of the other ones are like,
just felt like
you felt like you were visiting, which is exactly what you're doing. But like, it didn't. There was nothing about it that made it feel like this was like.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a special event, did it?
Yeah.
But obviously it was for us because it was unique. But as you're right, it's got a different vibe. But and they're all unique.
They were all unique. I think they were all unique. They were all cool. And seeing the location and seeing like what is in there, their brew house.
And I think also
awesome.
Without the physical tour bus taken us to those places, there's no way we would have been able to find them, navigate to them, get to them, because they were out in the countryside. They were nowhere near train stations. You know, it would have cost a fortune to Uber in between them, probably.
I don't think you'd be able to get an Uber.
Yeah, probably not out in them. Some of them were literally like out in the middle of the countryside. You know, we drove for like 20 or 30 minutes between some of them. So yeah, it was so handy having that bus to kind of take you around. So that's a definite plus point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we're talking about like good tips for the tour, I think that's a fun way to say good tips for the tour. I think that's one that I really do recommend, that bus tour. It was really, really good.
Yeah, don't try and do it yourself.
Great value for money. Like 20 euros,
that's nothing.
Was just, it was fuck all. Like, that was really good
exactly.
for what you got out of it.
And
the convenience of like, I could leave my stuff on the bus.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about where my stuff was at all times.
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
was just, it was convenient.
So easy.
It was awesome.
So convenient. Yeah.
I think the other top tips I can give you is like, don't be that guy that holds the bus up, because it's annoying.
Yeah.
I was that person, but I didn't hold the bus up.
You didn't hold the bus up, but you almost missed it.
But what I would say is, in addition to don't be the guy that holds the bus up, don't be like me and purchase takeaways too late in the day. Don't, there's going to be queues. There's going to be a lot of people. The later in the day it gets, the more people are going to be there as well. Because I think, like Tilquin, we were lucky. There wasn't a lot of people there.
Yeah, it was an early start.
It's quite early. But as the day went on, there were more and more people. So, like, don't wait to go to the toilet. Don't wait to get food. Don't wait
for your takeaways.
Don't wait for your takeaway beers and merch.
Yeah.
Like,
queue up straight away.
Do what you're going to do right away, and then hunker down and sit down for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
In line with that, when we're talking about takeaways, I think the other thing is, I would say, I mean, these are all things that probably sound really obvious, but you don't maybe think about in the heat of the moment, which is like, take a backpack.
Yeah.
Take a backpack, because if you are going to buy takeaways, even if you don't think you're going to buy takeaways, you probably are. So you want to have something that is going to be
able to transport
it, because
especially when they're all glass bottles,
because a lot of them, especially in Brussels, are glass bottles. A lot of them are quite big bottles, so it's not as easy to carry around in a purse or
they weren't giving out bags really, were
they? So like some of them were like Tilquin had a box, but like really not everybody had boxes, bags.
No,
whatever.
Exactly. So bring your own beer smuggling bag
items. Yes. And I would say also, like, if you can bring even just like jumpers or something like that to pad out your bag. So like, if you need to wear it, that's great, it's there, but equally, like, it stops things from wishing around.
From banging around. And all the glasses that you end up with. Because we ended up with about 6 glasses.
We did end up with a lot of glasses because, like I said, you pay for the deposit and then you just have the glass, which is
that's
really
it.
good.
Yeah, you've already paid for it, so you get to keep the glass.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't. I said, oh, do I have to return? Like, no, if you want to keep it, you just don't get the deposit. I was like, that's fine, I can do without the deposit. Don't need that.
So a bunch of glasses, a bunch of bottles.
Yeah, I think it sounds really silly, but like, even if you have like bits of cardboard or bubble wrap or whatever that you like, if you're going to an event like this, I'm not saying travel like this all the time, but if you're going to an event like this where you know you're going to be buying a lot of stuff and you're going to be like coming home with a lot of glassware in particular, you want to make sure it's padded out so that as you're moving around throughout the day, it's not clanging against each other and risking breaking it. So I ended up bringing, not necessarily on the tour, but with me to Belgium, like 2 bubble wrap bottle bags, which was like one of the best things I could have brought, because with all the bottles I brought back, it helped so much. There's
only so many clothes you can use and socks you can wrap around bottles before you run out of clothes.
Before you run out.
So so that was quite smart doing that.
Yeah, and I know, like, in the US I've purchased like flat packs of those where you basically have like a straw that blows it up, but then they're flat when they arrive, so like you're not traveling with them inflated, but then you can inflate them as you need them, which is really, really super helpful. I think when you are going someplace like Brussels, where you know there's going to be lots of big bottles, it's definitely worth considering what you're going to do there. And also, again, bring snacks and bring lunch. Like, what could have been really good is bringing your own charcuterie picnic. Like, we didn't do that. I thought about it, I did think about it, but then I thought, there might be some really good food trucks, so I don't really want to I heard there was going to be food at certain locations, so I didn't really want to bring my own stuff, because then I was like, that's bag space.
I think Kestemont was selling apples.
Selling apples?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really lunch, is it? Like, it's not.
I don't think
They
I
were
saw
selling.
that.
They were selling
apples.
the pies as well, and apples,
Oh,
and that was it.
the
That
pies were great.
The pies were good, but that was it. That was your food choice.
I
I'm
don't
like,
think I realised
it's
it
not
was selling
really
apples.
lunch, is it? It's not really.
No.
It's not a meal. So
But I would
so
say like bring lunch because
bring
you just
extra
don't know
food to be
because
good.
it all might depend on which brewery you're going to as well. So like
Yeah.
the ones that
obviously,
we went
the ones
to,
we went to, there wasn't massive amounts of food. But also, we're not big day eaters, really, are we? We're normally we eat kind of late in the day anyway.
Yeah,
so,
but even so, like I think with an event like this, you want to keep like even just bringing little snacks, like bringing a bag of peanuts or some crisps,
from your friendly local
pastries.
Brussels patisserie, because there's lots of good ones.
Pastries, like any type of bits of food that's like really easily transportable is good. But like I really honestly think like for this type of beer as well, like bringing a charcuterie lunch, like a picnic lunch would have been so good in that weather.
Well,
so yeah, that's what I'd recommend for sure. I think the Eurostar was a good recommendation because I don't like flying. So to me, the Eurostar, I think definitely upgrade into the extra leg room, having all the bags, traveling with your bags tucked inside each other on the way out there and taking slightly more clothes than you might wear because that's slightly more you can wrap bottles
more padding for your bottles.
Yeah. I can't think of any other top tips you've got
for the Toer De Geuze. No, not at all. No.
Well, okay, well that's one. We're going to do part 2. We'll do part 2 of just our overall trip
apart from the tour.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll come back in next week. It'll be next week with our next episode. You can find me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism. You can also email me if you've got any questions about the Toer De Geuze at adventuresinoptimism@gmail.com. Equally, you can
equally find me on Instagram at Riknos.
You're gonna have people follow you on Instagram
if they want. They might want to see my food takes. My
favorite thing ever. I will say my favorite thing ever was the fact when we were wherever we were in Japan or something, and you were like taking photos, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "It's for my blog," and I was like, "You don't have a blog," and you went, "It's my personal blog," and I went, "It's just your photo album," and you went, "Yeah, it's my blog.
It's for me to remember what I ate." Because there was so much good food. I must admit, because you are a much better photographer than me. So I let you take all pictures. And obviously you'll always take pictures of your beers. So I never bother taking pictures of the beers we're drinking because you take a picture of it before you even drink it. But yeah, I did make an Instagram post about my trip to Belgium and shared some of my pictures. And funnily enough, all my pictures were food. And nothing else. Literally nothing else. It's food and coffee.
You did share your personal blog publicly, so if you want to follow him,
someone might want to see pictures of the delicious
you have to
food.
Tell people how to spell it because they won't be able to find you. Just say
Riknos. Okay, Riknos.
But it's a zero, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it was a zero. Oh.
Legit.
There you go.
I am the Riknos.
Okay, well you can find him there. He used to have rickpower.co.uk. That it's not paid for that domain anymore.
Yeah, it's expired.
You would have seen him eating a burger.
Yeah, my website was literally just me eating a burger. Drop
him a message. Maybe he'll pay for it again and bring back the him eating a burger.
I was tempted to get
email.
I think rickpower.com's now available actually. It wasn't available before. I think it might be now.
Get on that. Hilariously, we didn't even talk about the Cantillon because it went down too quickly before we could even talk about it. And we can
talk about that on the Cantillon episode. Can't we?
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the Cantillon episode. And if you guys want to message Joe and myself together, you might get either one of us. We are a women's brew on Instagram, Facebook, X, but we're not going to talk to you on X. You guys already know that because neither of us monitor that. We can't be bothered. But if you want to send your commiserations to Jo, the fact that she couldn't go, send your positive vibes her way. You can find her at Love Beer Learning. She's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, and X. I think, Jo, I hope I didn't do you dirty. I hope I got all of them there. If I did get you wrong, please feel free to just voice note over it. But you can also get her at lovebeerlearning@gmail.com if you want to email her, or go to her website, lovebeerlearning.com. So yeah, go check all that out. We are going to go reset, have another beer, and talk about the rest of our Brussels trip. So on that note, cheers.
Cheers.